All right. Hey, everyone. Mark here. Thanks for joining me for the Monday stream for our NASDAQ trades. So let's get started. Interesting day, right? To start this off. If you're new to the stream, welcome. Here, let me just put my comments up so I can see what's going on here in the comments. You could feel free to say hello. If you want to share what city or what country you're from, that's always a fun fact. I'm streaming from the greater New York City area, also known as Northern New Jersey. All right. It's raining here right now and it's cold and it's miserable. Anyway, good way to start the week. So if you read my TradingView article yesterday, I talked about this failed low situation. We're going to talk about, I'll just touch on Bitcoin really quickly because again, at 3 p.m. today, 3 p.m., I'm going to stream again. That's going to be my analysis stream where we're going to talk about updating this analysis and what's going on. But I could touch on this real quick here. We get the failed low developing, okay? That's all I can say. And if we get the pin bar close, this could be a long. Now, again, it looks really horrible, right? On smaller time frames, it looks extremely bearish, but you have to keep an eye on that bigger picture, right? That's an important factor here. Don't get caught up by the news and all the drama. There's a lot of drama, especially like on Twitter and stuff like that. Everyone's opinion matters these days. So pay attention to the price, pay attention to the levels. And if price confirms, that's really where you want to consider something, especially in this wild environment. We are in a deflationary environment. And that's why price just keeps going lower and lower and lower, across the major indices. So let's get over to those right now. I'm going to switch over to the MNQ. So let's switch this over so we could do our analysis for the day trades. Okay, so that's MNQ. I'm going to switch this over here to MNQ. All right, this is the micro NASDAQ. And we're going, as you can see here on my chart that's above me here, I'm trying to get out of the way so you can see it a little bit better. Hey guys, hey Nugs. All right, Erhan, how are you? From Turkey, I remember you. How are you? Hussein, hey, how you doing, guys? Thanks for stopping by. I remember you from Turkey. Anyway, so this situation here, I mean, look, this is the daily time frame, right? So as far as day trades go, because that's what we're looking to do in this session here, we are trying to get a sense of where the momentum is right now because we're planning to trade a 1-minute chart. So if that's what we're going to trade, then we need to be aware of momentum. The bigger picture trend can sort of help us with that, but not really. What we want from this bigger picture is just a sense of where we are and yesterday's levels. That's really like what we're looking for here. Look at this chart. This is unprecedented. Like, I mean, we have not seen anything like this in years. Just this type of move. Now, this is symmetrical, by the way. This, if you do like some extensions on this, this is symmetrical. So if you do something like this, okay, I mean, we're actually beyond the 100%. And we're like this thing went a lot lower. Usually at that 100% point, right, that's market symmetry, and often you find a reversal there. This thing went extra. So there's obviously a lot of fear in the markets. If anything, what you don't want to do in this type of situation is buy into the idea that, okay, this thing's a short. Because, yeah, it's a short. Now it's obvious, right? But if you were going to go short, you should have been thinking that here at the lower high, not now. Now shorts are high risk as far as the bigger picture goes. I mean, we broke some important supports. I mean, look at this, right? We gapped lower today, right? We're starting out gapped lower. So that gap is going to be important, all right? That's going to act as a resistance, at least intraday. And we have some supports just going back here. I mean, look how far we've gone. The Qs went to 399.99, or basically 400 even. And I'm long the Qs. I got long over the previous week. I conducted a stream about that. and I've accumulated 90 shares, and I have an average price of 463. Right now, this thing, the Qs are, what are the Qs at? Hold on. They're not doing well. 404. That's pretty bad. Okay, so that position is like $6,000 against me or something like that. I mean, compared to how things are in general here, that's not bad considering it could have been much worse. But that's a position now. Like if you watch that stream, which I conducted on Thursday evening, I said we could go to 420, we could go to 400. It's possible, and we went there quickly. I wasn't expecting it to be so quick, but what am I going to do now? I'm not going to short this. I'm not going to buy more right now. If I'm going to buy any more, which would only be 10 shares, I want to see a clear-cut reversal. We have nothing. So, and things are pretty bad. What I'm waiting for is, usually in a situation like this, you're going to see like an administration, whatever, come out, government, and say they're going to try to talk the market up. I guess they were hoping Powell was going to do that on Friday, but Powell said, F you, I'm not doing it. Right? So I don't know. All I could tell you is markets don't move in straight lines. So this is extreme. And when we do get that bounce, because at some point it's good, there has to be some type of retrace. Markets don't move in straight lines. I would be anticipating on the Qs like a test of maybe 440 area, 450 area, which on this chart would be the equivalent of getting back up to there. Something like that, actually a little bit lower than that. Something like this, okay? Anyway, that's the bigger picture. That's not really going to help us too much for day trades. So for day trades, we're only concerned with momentum, and momentum is bearish. That's pretty clear. There's no question about that. These lines that I drew on the chart are bigger picture supports, and they may hold. Actually, this line here is now a resistance, but we have to think in terms of the bigger picture. If we get a bounce, that bounce is going to be sharp, and it's likely to look something like this, okay? And as a day trader, I don't want to get caught on the wrong side of that either, because people are right now very comfortable on the short side, at least traders. They're going to think, oh yeah, all I have to do is short breakouts, right? Short the break of supports. It works every time, right? It works every time until we get this, right? And when we get that, it's going to be sharp and it's going to be fast. So that type of move is typically going to be driven by some unexpected event. That's why some kind of announcement, something coming from the government, something unexpected comes out of nowhere. That's usually how that comes along. A chart isn't really going to help us anticipate when that's going to begin, right? So all we can do is recognize that. Now, so as far as previous levels for intraday, I'll go to a 4-hour chart, right? Because we don't really have much to work with here. All we have is this support, which was the overnight support. It's the absolute low. And we have this gap, okay? And as you can see, the market rejected the gap. And we're bearish right now. That's bearish momentum. There's nothing bullish about this. So I'm not going to be in a hurry to be going long, even though we are, messing around support levels. I mean, look at this 4-hour pin bar. I mean, we have a few hours before this closes, but still, I'm going to be working with the momentum, not against it. So that's pretty much all I need to know. As far as levels go, these are my levels. All right, that's really it. So either we test the bottom, right? This is the bottom right now, this area right here. Either we test that and maybe consider a counter trend, but because of the nature of this environment, it's so extreme. I think today what I'm going to do is just stay on the side of the momentum. I tried counter trend on Friday, as you know how that worked out, and I mean that whole day was bearish, and I'm not going until I see a clear-cut reversal, and until I see that type of behavior, I'm probably just going to stick to the momentum, right? And that's I think that's the safer way to go. So that's really all the bigger picture can tell us, right? Don't get mixed up with the news. Don't get mixed up with all the other stuff. A lot of drama. all that stuff, right? This is a deflationary environment. You saw what happened to oil. You see even gold pull back. Bitcoin got caught, right? Everything is getting caught. That's deflation. And this is being engineered. All right. So I'm not going to get into conspiracy theories and all that stuff, but there's a rationale behind this. And it's going to be hard to understand, especially if you're someone that's been complacent and investing for years now, right? In markets that these markets that we've seen going back, 4 years were fake markets to begin with. A lot of these new highs, first of all, it was all inflationary. Most of it was just the top stocks. The typical stock over the previous 4 years has not done anything. So this event that we're seeing here was due, and it was just moved along a little faster. But anyway, I'm not going to get into the political side of this. It's going to be hard to understand, especially, like I said, if you're like one of these complacent, savvy investors that is now minus hundreds of thousands of dollars, or you've given back hundreds of thousands of dollars because you've complacently built large positions going into this thinking, oh, the markets are, they just go up all the time because that's what they do. No, this is reality. Welcome to reality. All right. And this is why risk and risk management is so important. No one sees this coming until it comes. Now, the market's going to just keep going, right? Don't get caught up in that. Pay attention to levels. Now, all right, so that's me. I'm just going off on tangents, and I'll get more into that in my afternoon stream. So anyway, so we have our momentum and we have our levels. I'm going to switch this over to a 1-minute chart because we want to look at these smaller time frame structures, right? Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to turn the Trade Scanner Pro on this chart. By the way, the Trade Scanner Pro has had some interesting trades on the bigger picture, right, for those that follow that. But so I'm going to, instead of a 4-hour or in a 1 hour, which is normally what I look at over here, I'm going to switch this on this side to a 1 minute, okay? I'm going to switch this over to a 1 minute, the larger time frame, and I have the Trade Scanner Pro turned on. Let me just switch over. Let me just make sure all these buttons are on, all right? And over on this side, I'm going to have a 30-second chart on, okay? So I can monitor both time frames. Remember, guys, on Friday, what happened, I missed a huge short, as you guys remember, which occurred on the 1 minute, and then I started going with the counter trend and it got hammered, right? So I'm going to keep an eye on both time frames, the 30-second and the 1 minute, looking for a signal. Now, when Stian gets this together, we're going to have like a table like that could move. It'll be like over here. You could move it around, and it's going to monitor multiple time frames, so I won't have to do this here. I'll just have a table that tells me, the 30-second, 1 minute, whatever, and I can input the time frames. So I could watch whatever time frames I want, like up to 5 time frames. And if signals pop up, I don't have to be scanning through charts, right? I could see the signals pop up on my matrix, and then I can go to the chart and take the trade, right? Or set up notifications or whatever. That's going to be a very, very useful tool when we have that set up. All right. So you guys following me so far? Man, I see there's no one watching me today. Wow. Twitter is really, I got more people on YouTube than I do on Twitter. That's sad because usually Twitter is where I got people following. Man, come on, you guys. Well, I guess people just don't want to hear it. When everyone's getting beat up, no one wants to hear it. All right, I understand. But the thing is, all the other fake gurus, they're doing like 1,000 people or 2,000 people. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing right now this moment. But they're probably doing more than me. All right, it's enough of me complaining today. All right, it's Monday. Maybe that's another thing. It's Monday. No one wants to show up on a Monday. Now, all right, so we're going to watch this. Look, this momentum is bullish. Right now, we're seeing some bullish momentum. The Trade Scanner Pro on my 30-second, let me make this chart bigger here for a moment, is telling me that the momentum is still in bearish mode. See that? It's still in bearish mode. Now, do I want to take shorts? I mean, we just changed, so we're transitioning. Look, it was just bearish 2 seconds ago. Now it's bullish. See that? Okay, no problem. I want to work with the momentum, like I said. I'm not going to switch to counter trend mode. By the way, I believe that a lot of times when I get into trouble or I run into these situations where I take like 2 or 3 losing trades in a row, it's usually in counter trend mode, right? Counter trend is a riskier situation. Okay, now look, we just got a signal. Let's see here. Okay, we went back to bearish mode. So we're fluctuating. I'm not going to be in a hurry to take that, okay? Because I'll tell you why. This structure right here looks like a change in momentum, and the bigger picture is in a vulnerable location for short squeezes, right? That's why I'm not going to be in a hurry. Plus, this is a 30-second chart. So these signals that appear in here are going to be much less reliable, right? It's a 30-second time frame. See what I mean? So, all right, that's why I'm not going to be so quick to take that. I want to be on the side of the momentum. The reason why we got that short trade there is because this momentum was bearish there for like a minute, right? Now look what's happening here. See, it gets stopped out. Good thing I wasn't in that. Now my 1 minute. This is the 1 minute. The momentum on his. Look, see what just happened? It's changing. See, it just turned to bullish. So we're seeing like a transition here. No problem. I want to work on the side of the momentum. So the fact that the momentum just turned bullish means the Trade Scanner Pro is looking for longs. Now, we may be in like this transitionary environment where it might keep flipping back and forth. If that's the case, just let it figure itself out, right? Don't fight this thing. This is a wild environment. I mean, I was looking at the some of these candles, right? And if you look at like we're just I'll put it on just so we can look at it. If you look at like a 15-second candles, I mean, they're wide. Look, from high to low, we're looking at 77 to 44. That's like 30 points in 15 seconds. For those of you that don't trade the NASDAQ, or you may not be able to appreciate that, that's wild. 15 seconds, the thing is moving 30 points. 30 points? You know how many ticks that is? 20 points is 80 ticks, right? So 30 points would be 120 or 100? No. It's 4 ticks in a point, right? So 40 ticks is 10 points, right? So yeah, 48, 120 ticks. It's moving every 15 seconds. That's fast. So when you're in a situation like that, you have to recognize that. You have to appreciate that, and you have to keep that in mind. If I'm going to play this game, I want to play on the side of the momentum, because if I go against that, I'm going to get stopped out in 2 seconds. We're back to this resistance, interestingly enough. All right, that's the overnight high. So we just broke a little higher than that. We're inside this gap over here. See this? We're inside this gap. So that gap is typically going to act as a resistance, but that doesn't mean it's going to turn this thing around, right? Look at this nice structure. If this thing lingers up here, that resistance can break. Remember, the bigger picture, the probability favors a reversal, because we've just been in a straight line for days, right? We have not seen any green. So when the green comes, it's going to be harsh. So we have to keep that in mind. That's where the bigger picture, like the location of the bigger picture, that comes into play in a situation like this. If you get too caught up in your smaller picture only and you're blind to that, you fail to see the probability of the broader intraday move. And we want to align ourselves with that, not go against it. So if this thing is going to be bullish and that the bullish makes sense, then I want to align with that. This would have been a nice trade, but we got no signal. And I'm not forcing anything here, right? If I sit here for an hour and I get no trades, I get no trades, right? I'm not going to force anything. And if to force it, you're like, well, how would you force it? Well, I could look at a 15-second chart. I bet you there's a signal there. Well, no, that not even. How about a 5-second chart? Not even. There were some signal attempts over here. Look at this on the 5-second chart, which they probably stopped out. A 5-second chart, the stops are going to be extremely tight. Not a very productive chart for, especially in this really wild. This market's like extremely fast. I think 30-second, 15-second may be appropriate, but the only thing is the stops are too tight, and with this wild movement, you're going to get stopped out a lot. So my goal here is to try to get it right the first time, meaning I take one trade, it works, and I'm done. That's really like the habit you want to be in. If you can get away green on the first one, there's really no reason to continue, because chances are you're going to give it back. If my first one is a losing trade, I'll try a second one to see if if I could make it back or whatever. If I can't, I'm done. I turn it off. You got to be very strict in this environment. Otherwise, you can find yourself in a lot of trouble, right? Like Friday was ridiculous. 3 trades in a row, losing trades. I mean, imagine if I had kept going. That market just kept going lower and lower and lower. Or imagine if I had not respected the stops and be like, I'll just average into it. It'll come back because the market's so low. It never came back. I would have blown the account. Okay, so that's why risk management is so important, and respecting the stops and having all that stuff defined. If I was in one of those situations where some people, they use soft stops. I mean, in these examples I've been using soft stops, meaning I don't program the stop into the platform, but you should. Like I've been getting away with it, but the problem with doing that, the soft stop, is, especially in a fast market, if some news comes out and I'm on the wrong side of it, this thing can spike 50 to 100 points literally in a minute or two. And by the time I get out of that, I'm minus a lot of money. All right, I've been in that situation before. So you should use a hard stop, meaning you plug it in, like when we have the trade thing up over here, you program it in here. For this, I mean, I'm just doing it with the soft stop, and I just blow it out, whatever. It's an evaluation account, but really you should be using a hard stop. If exchange stops, can they still close? If exchange stops, can you still close puts? Well, that's a good question. So the options market, I'm not sure. That's a good question. If the options market is not the same exchange, so I don't know if you could still close puts if they do like a limit. Sometimes they stop them, they freeze the market because it's just out of hand. It's so out of hand. I don't know if you can close options positions in that situation. They might freeze those too, because it wouldn't make sense for those to continue. Remember, the options are based on the underlying asset. So if their underlying asset freezes, I don't know. That's a good question. I would imagine that they would close. That might be a good question. Maybe you can ask ChatGPT that question. Maybe ChatGPT can give you a good answer on that one. It's a good question. I would think that they would also freeze. If the underlying is frozen, I would think that they wouldn't want you to trade those options either. But it is not the same exchange, so I don't know. Look at this. Consolidation breakout. This is what I mean, right? This is what I mean about the shorts. You got people, double tap, getting short, and this is what's happening. See what I mean? Not a good time for shorts. So, look, the Trade Scanner Pro is at least keeping me on the right side. It's saying the momentum is bullish. Okay, cool. So I'm not shorting this thing. I'm waiting for a pullback. Let me just, I like to check. This is on this side. This is my 30-second. And on this side, this is my 1 minute. I want to just check to see, was there a trade there on the 15-second? There was nothing there. No trade signals. So this was a nice consolidation breakout. Look at this. Look at that. Wow. Beautiful triangle. But that's not what the Trade Scanner Pro looks for. It looks for pullbacks. So there were some pullbacks here, but they weren't steep enough. They were too shallow. So all right, no problem. At least we're not shorting this thing, right? We're not getting caught up in drama and opinions. Like I said, if I have to sit here for an hour and there's no trade, well, there's no trade. I'm not going to force it. Look at the 1 minute, right? Beautiful. Consolidation breakout. These are typically continuation patterns, right? Consolidations are typically momentum continuation patterns. So, hey, look, our momentum is clearly bullish right now. Just have to wait for a pullback. That's all. Anyway, so if you guys, anyone that's new to the stream, welcome. Man, Twitter, I don't know. I don't know why I do this. I don't know why I bother. Make sure you subscribe and like the channel, please. It helps out. Appreciate it. I stream at this time. The market open basically Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And then remember, today at 3 p.m., I'll be streaming again where I do my analysis only. Right here, I'm looking for trades. At 3 p.m., I do the analysis where we cover other things too, not just the NASDAQ. Bitcoin. And people have requests. Man, this thing is just not going to turn back. All right, no problem. Let's see where the Q's at. 430. All right. Overnight, we were at 400. So, all right. Got a long way to go still, but all right. I'll take that for a few hours. My most recent purchase on the Qs, which was Friday pre-market, was 434. Right, I bought 10 shares at 434. So those are almost break even. But that's what I mean. You can't overreact. You can't listen to all the nonsense. I mean, there's so much nonsense out there. It's ridiculous. Okay? You can't listen to that. And if you do, you're just going to be caught. You're just going to really get caught in bad situations. It works randomly and it reinforces bad behavior. You simply have to just understand your momentum, understand your levels, and assign probabilities. That's how you anticipate scenarios. And then you let the market confirm. It either confirms or it doesn't. And it's got to be that simple. Anything else, if you introduce anything else, you're just making it more complex than it has to be. People don't understand this because they like complexity. They think complexity is better. It's not. Not in a situation like this, because markets are so overly complex that in order to win, we need to simplify. And what we're actually doing is simplifying the human behavior behind it. That is actually what we're doing. We don't need to be an economist. You don't need to understand the relationship with the dollar and all this other stuff. That stuff, like if you want to learn that stuff, it doesn't hurt to be educated, to impress your friends with your knowledge, but it's not going to make you money. Okay? It's not going to make you money. You especially on the retail side of things. Now, if you're a hedge fund and you have huge resources and you could pay 100 fundamental guys to put this puzzle together, all right, I guess maybe there's something to that. I know there are these macro global guys and they take these big positions, but they also have a lot of information that we do not have access to because they can afford it and we can't. So we cannot play that same game. They only share like a little piece of what they do. They don't share everything. They don't want the competition. That's how this game works. They don't want the competition. They don't want you to make money, because if you're making money, that means they're making less money. And you may think, oh, but I'm just a little guy. But if there were lots of little guys making money, that's less money for them. So that's how this game works, man. It's competitive. And the less competition, the better. That's why a lot of these big hedge fund, whatever, or strategies, they don't share their strategies because they don't want the competition. Bitcoin pushing 80K. Cool. All right, so they're moving together. Now, we're not surprised, right? We shouldn't be surprised about Bitcoin. I wrote about it yesterday. I said, watch 76K. We went a little lower, but I said, watch that for the bounce. Read my article. It's on there. You know, I make a lot of decent calls. Look, I'm not perfect. Not every call works out, but I make a lot of decent calls. Those calls are coming from the components that I'm telling you: trend, support, and resistance levels. That's where those ideas come from. And I call it right pretty often. And you know what's amazing to me? I see these analysts that are interviewed on whatever channel, and they make these calls. Bitcoin is at the bottom, or Bitcoin is at the top, or the market's going to rally from, and they're wrong. And they get all this like attention and all. And meanwhile, it's like I'm calling this thing right, and no one pays attention to me at all. Maybe it's because I don't scream for attention like a lot of guys, but would be nice to get a little recognition. Like, man, you call this often, you call it right pretty often, but I don't get that. TradingView recognized me at least as a wizard, but you'd think that at least would get me a girl or something, but man, not even, nothing. Sucks, man. You guys appreciate me. No, I know you guys do, all 5 of you, and I appreciate you guys too. I mean, you guys are here, you guys the same guys every stream. Like, I love you guys. Because if it weren't for you guys, I'd have no one here. So at least someone recognizes my value. But it's just amazing to me that I'm basically I'm producing the same quality that some of these other bigger names are producing, but they're getting all the recognition. I don't even know where they come from. I'm like, who is this guy? Where does he come from? Was he working for like Goldman Sachs or something? I can understand, but like, who is this guy? I see a number of people like that. It's like, where has this person come from? They make like one good call, and it's like, oh, they build this whole career on their good call. I don't even think they take positions in these things. So anyway, just my complaint for today. Every day I have a complaint. All right, but I love you guys though. Without you guys, like I said, I'd be talking to myself for an hour. Okay, so anyway. So I'm still waiting. Maybe we get a pullback here. Maybe we get a trade. What time is it? Okay, it's after 10 o'clock. Oh, I haven't checked the economic calendar yet. I'll be doing that for the afternoon stream. It's always a good habit. Make sure you check the economic calendar. It doesn't matter which one you check. You just want to make sure what type of events may be coming out this week. I believe we're in the second week, so I think CPI comes out this week. I'm just guessing. I haven't checked yet. But usually like on Wednesday, usually it's a Wednesday number, usually like 8:30 CPI report. That's going to be a big mover because especially now with all this wildness going on, any kind of report like that may have a serious effect. So we want to be aware of those things, especially since we trade intraday. A report like that, even though it comes out pre-market, it can set the tone for the day. All right. So, man, I don't even have a heads up here. That's the nice thing about the Trade Scanner Pro is it tells me if something is developing. I got nothing. This thing hasn't pulled back far enough. Let me check a 15-second chart. I may have to do that. Do I even have a heads up there? Not even on a 15-second chart? Man, how about a 5-second? I'm not going to trade the 5-second. I just want to see. Nothing here either? Wow. Oh, there's a signal. Is that a long signal? Well, that was brief. On a 5, oh, we're getting a heads up. We got the heads up here. There's green things. That's what I was looking for on the bigger picture. I'm not taking that on this time frame. That's the 15-second and the 30-second charts are not part of the plan. Like I'm not gonna. I mean, that was the 15-second. The 15-second is not part of the plan. It's too fast. And if I take trades, I mean, I've taken trades like on Bitcoin during my afternoon stream. I've taken trades that have done very well from a 15-second chart. But man, I just don't like this environment. I'd rather wait for 30 seconds, right? I'd rather just wait. We'll get the signal here eventually. We can watch the 15-second, but I'm not taking it. Like a signal is likely to appear. See these heads up we're getting? The signal is likely to appear here. I have to stick to the plan, okay? And the plan is 30 seconds and above, not 15 seconds. So we may watch a good trade develop here, and I'm just not going to take it. I'm being very conservative because here's a trade. Let's just watch it. And let's see, let's measure the risk. What's the risk? 153 points, is that right? Oh, the signal vanished, I guess because it moved too fast. 153 points of risk on a 15-second chart? That is nuts. Usually on a 15-second chart, you get something like, 40 points, something like that, 50 points. 153? That's too risky. I'm not losing 153 points on two contracts. Look, this wouldn't have worked out. That would have stopped out anyway, even though the signal vanished. So we're not getting any signal on the 30-second here. If the signal on that time frame was showing 153 points of risk, that means this time frame here, look, here it comes. This time frame is probably going to be bigger than that. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm not taking two contracts. I'll take the trade if we get it in the 30-second, but I'm going to do it only on one contract. No way I'm doing two. Because 153 point loss is $300 and something on one contract. That would be a $600 loss on two contracts. I got hammered for $800 on Friday. If I lose another $600, that's 50% of the account, right? Because it's a $2,500 account. Excuse me, it's an eval account, but it's a $2,500 account. I'll be basically actually more than 50% at that point. 1,250 is 50% of this account, and I was minus like 8 something, so I was like 30%, right? Minus 30%. So I'm lowering my size. Okay, I'll take this trade if we get the signal here. But see, look how much it had to pull back for us to even get the heads up. How much is this? I'm just curious. Let's measure it. 774 points. Man, it's like, am I looking at something wrong here? No, that's the MNQ. That's ridiculous. That's on one contract, that's $1,400. That's just, that's very uncharacteristic. It's because the wild movement, right? So we have to be aware of these things. That's why, so I switched my size. Instead of doing two, I'm just doing one. Screw it. Because if I'm wrong, I want to keep my loss small. But if you're right, you're going to make a lot of money. Yes, but I'm more concerned about being wrong. Because you know what? I could miss good trades. I could be right, whatever. Right doesn't hurt the account. Wrong does. So if I take a loss on this, which is very possible, I want that to be minimal. So one contract. So if I'm risking, if we get a signal, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at that risk. If it's like 150, it's probably going to be more than 153 points because that was a 15-second chart that showed me that, right? So I'm going to guess that this is going to be around 250 points of risk, which is a lot. That's a $500 loss, all right, on a micro lot, on one micro lot. So really, I shouldn't be taking the trade at all, but I'll take one contract. I need like a nano lot for this, man, because it's a small account. That's the thing. Like it's a $2,500 account or a 50K eval account, which equates to a $2,500 account. All right, so I'm seeing these green columns are the heads up, so we should be seeing a signal very soon. I'm going to take the signal long, okay, because I'm following the momentum. The momentum is generally bullish right now. I'm going along with the momentum. No counter trend trades. All right, so let's see what we get. Nice pullback over the next candle close or two. I should be, there it is. All right. So are we getting some green with this? All right, I'm going to take it. Long one. Now, let me measure this risk. I mean, I know it's going to be pretty big. Like I said, I remember I said 200 points. It's 235 points. Okay, so that's a lot, man. That's a lot for a 30-second chart. So in this situation, now, of course, my reward, if I get to the profit objective, is 346 points. That's enormous. That's a $600 trade on one contract, which that would have been 1,200 on two contracts. Yeah, that would have been nice. I would have made all my money back plus more from Friday. But whatever, man. It's the risk that I'm concerned about. This trade may not be a winner. So let's see how it goes. I took the trade on a 30-second chart as per the plan. And we're going to see how this thing plays out. Let's also, we'll eye our 1 minute chart on this side over here. Let's just see. I mean, if that higher low can stay intact, we should reach, look at the profit objective. Look where it is, right? It's over here. I'm going to put it on the chart here. Look at that. That's the profit objective. See that? That's not even a higher high. So that's very reasonable. That's very reasonable to reach. T-Man speaking. Oh, no. Really? Good to know. That's an important piece of news. What to make of that? Well, he's going to try to talk the markets up because that's what he does. He's not going to try to talk them lower. The question is, how is the market going to react to what he says? See what I mean about this trade? Like, it started out okay, and we have to let this thing play out now. We're going to just watch this thing. Now, the whole point of the Trade Scanner Pro is it's defined the risk for me and my profit objective. If this thing stops out, it's why, again, I only took one contract instead of two, because like I said, this could be a losing trade. So we'll let this thing play out, see how it goes. I mean, I'm going to try to take trades with the side of the momentum here. Momentum is still bullish. This is a lower high, not a good look. Certainly not a good look, but we have to give it a chance. I'm going to respect the stop. We go to the stop. I bang it out. I'm done. I'm not going to take a second trade. Plus, I've been waiting an hour. I had to wait basically a whole hour for this. So if it stops out, that's that. That's going to be like a $500 loss. Man, looks like it's going to go there. All right. Let it tap out. Almost there. See what I mean? That's why I only took one contract. Okay, hey, it's still in. It's trying to produce another signal, which is actually a failed low. So if this stops out, when I see this, I have to take the second trade. Right? If we stop out, but I see another signal pop up right away, that's a failed low. Right? If it pops up, the momentum is still bullish. We pop up just slightly below this low, right? I'd be interested in taking that. I'm not going to add to this position. I'll just get stopped out and buy one more. Because I don't want to have a situation like, and if that stops out, then that's it. I'm done. Like, I'm willing to do two trades. Like, the first one I try, fails. Second one, I'll try to see if I could recover. If it fails, done. No third trade. On Friday, I tried the third one. That failed too. Okay, this one, see? There we go. Now here's the thing. Before I blow this out, because this thing it's struggling here, see, it's giving us the potential signal. I'm going to give this a chance. That's why I'm not going to blow it out yet. Maybe see what's happening here? This is why like, you should respect the stop. Now, if this thing starts pushing lower, if I see like a pretty decent candle that's red, I'm going to bang it out. But this is what I mean. Because of the formation, this is what's keeping me in. There it is. Look, second signal. All right, so I don't have to take the trade. I'm in it. Now I have another trade without having to add to it. So let's see if this one works. So you see, that's where again the Trade Scanner Pro can really help you out here. If we had no tool like that, you may not recognize the second signal coming. You're like, oh wait, there's another signal that's coming. Oh, let me give this a chance instead of banging it out. Now, if I had banged it out, I would have bought it right back just now. Okay, do you see how that works? A very common mistake in a situation like this would be to short this. Like, oh yeah, breaking the low. It's time to go short again. No, this is not a bearish trend. It's just it's because you have to look at the bigger move here. Okay, it may be turning bearish, but you have to look at this. And all we've done is corrected that a bit. Now here's the thing. My profit objective is much lower here. What is my profit objective here? Because this is not my entry price. My original entry price is here. So basically, my profit objective based on this new trade has moved basically to 1-to-1. So will I take that? I may take that. Because remember, my original entry, I'm long from this price over here. I mean, this is a tough market, man. Look, that's my original long right there that I'm still in from. Then a second one opened up over here. You know, I could have bought that second one, but like I said, I'm not taking the risk. It's too high. The stops are too wide. The losses are too big. So, you know, if this was a more calm market, I would have been more aggressive and I would have looked for a second one, but not in this market. So that's how I'm tempering the risk. You see that? I'm compensating. Now, let's see if we can reach that profit objective. Let's just see how am I doing P&L wise. Am I up at least? I should be up. I'm up $150. All right, it's better than losing. But this trade, look how I navigated this. This could have been a losing trade. I could have banged it out because I could have overreacted, but I knew to at least give it a little bit of a chance. The chance worked out. A second trade developed. Now I have a little more confidence with this. Now look, now we're getting a little spiky. See that? A little spiky. Now I get that the trailing stop has also now appeared. We're getting to the profit objective. So we got in 30 minutes he begins talking. Yeah, I'm not gonna stick around for that. Wow, look, we touched that profit objective and rejected it. Like instantly. Man, never even had a chance. All right, so I'm going to try to give this trade a bit of a chance here. If we can get back up to that profit objective, I'm just going to take, I think I'm just going to take this thing. Take the win and then shut the F up. That's what I'm going to do. Because this is a wild market. The trailing stop, I mean, maybe this thing starts, you know, puts a little bit of a rally together, but I'd rather just book the win. If I get that opportunity. I may not. This may go to the trailing stop and I may give back my profit. Say it's a wild market, man. Now, and this is a pin bar too. That's a bearish pin bar, but it's a 30-second chart, right? So like I wouldn't be taking trades based on that. We're going back to the entry price. And didn't even give me a chance. Like one candle, like 3 candles, I'm like back to break even. That's what I mean. That's why, like in a situation like this, while the bigger picture potential is great, meaning, you know, we may close much higher than here today because of basically the big picture location. But when you're in these intraday movements, you just got to take your money, right? Measure your risk and take your money. At this point, this is a situation where if you miss this trade, this could be another point to re-enter it or a place to add. But like I said, I'm not doing any of that stuff. I'm not doing any of those aggressive behaviors because this market's just too wild and the risk is too high. You know, if I get aggressive, it might work, but if it doesn't work, I'm going to lose a ton of money. Okay, it's bad enough that I'm going to lose on this, it looks like. Now look what's happening. I'm getting another heads up. See the green column? If this happens to work out, if that stays and another signal develops, then that would likely be a double bottom. So far I've only have to take one trade. This may stop out. I'll give it to the full stop. But right, it's all about how you control the risk here. That's the main thing. I want to take a look at the 1 minute. Let me just switch over here for a minute. What's happening on this 1 minute chart? So it looks like a failed low is developing on the 1 minute. If we could get a strong 1 minute close, look what's happening here. All we're doing, we've pulled back and we're consolidating. This is a consolidation, right? That's not a bearish trend. It's a consolidation. It's a pullback and it's consolidating. If anything, it's a higher low. Look at this, right? Look at this. We have a high and it's pulled back. This is the low over here, and we have a potential higher low, right? This is a potential higher low. And the 1 minute's trying to give us a signal there too. Look at that. So those are bullish signs. I would really like to get out of this trade, at a profit, because I think there's a high potential for that. This is not a straight bear market. This isn't like the bear momentum that we had over the previous few days. It's just a consolidation. I have to recognize that. Now, again, if I was super aggressive and we go above that blue line, I would add, but I'm not doing it for the reasons I just explained. So when you see stuff like this, like when you measure the risk and it's over 200 points on a 30-second chart, man, that tells you something about the market. Okay, when typical risk is 40 points, because that's why I measure the risk. Typical risk on the NASDAQ futures is 40 points, not 200. We are 5 times the risk, which means this thing is just it's moving like a freight train. Okay, minute to minute. You guys see that? So let's just give it a few more minutes here. If it goes to the stop and it's just not playing ball, I'm just going to have to bang it out and be done with it. I don't want to sit here and stream for 3 hours. We give it a try. It doesn't work. Okay, we tried. All right, so that one stopped out. Now, do we get any kind of anything green here? Let's see, because I'm about to bang this thing out. It's a good thing I only have one contract. Anything green? Or are we just going to go straight red? Let's see. It's trying to give me some green. It's hesitating. We have that blue line is a support line now. Maybe it reacts to that. I don't know, but I'm prepared to bang this thing out. But like I said before, I'm trying to salvage it, just like before, right? The same concept, the same rationale, like I managed to pull off over here, but it may not work this time. I'm not seeing a heads up, which would have been nice to see. Man, this market stinks. My 1 minute, I'm not getting anything bullish either. All I'm doing is sitting at a level here, and it's trying to hold. I'm going to give this a chance. See what I mean? The only thing that can allow you to basically manage to hold something like that is experience. Just knowing that, the type of behavior that may appear here. And if it appears, you just try to give it a chance. If it doesn't appear, you're going to take a little bit of a larger loss. But, I compensated for that by only having one contract. So, yeah, it's going to suck taking the loss, but it would have been much larger if I had 2 contracts. And I like to take 2 contracts because if I have a winner, then I try to ride the second one, right? And let that thing ride. We just don't have that here, right? And the stops are too wide. Now, if I blow this, a couple of things about this prop account. Look, I got a signal on the 1 minute. Beautiful. I'm still in. I'm not going to add to it, but these would all be opportunities to add, by the way. Like if I had nano lots, I would add. But this is a wide stop though. I'm not taking this. This is really wide. I'm not taking that loss. Like if we just flounder, I'm just going to bang it out. But what I was going to say about this prop account, one benefit to having a prop account, an eval, it's an eval account, is it's a subscription, right? I have to bang this thing out. It's a subscription. So what that means is when the renewal date comes, which I think is I started this account like a week after I bought it. I started the trades. So it probably like in 2 weeks or something like that, or in a week, it's going to renew automatically. So you know what that means? That means if I have a loss in the account, it's going to go back to zero, right? That's a great benefit of having a prop account, an eval account, is it goes back to zero. So that $800 loss or whatever, if I have another loss here, I get to go back to zero. Now, I can also fast forward the process and just pay for a reset, but I don't want to pay for a reset. But you can do that, like if you're in more of a hurry. A good thing I'm still in the trade. That's a nice thing about an eval account is you can erase the loss and start from zero again, right? And that's good. Like if you're trying to get through the eval in a timely manner. If you're in a hurry, like I said. But if this thing resets and I'm in it at a negative number, we start it back at zero. Remember, the whole purpose of this was to trying to beat the eval. That's the goal here. You can think of, when compared to like poker, you can think of an eval as like a poker tournament versus playing a regular table game, right? You're not going to play a regular table game the same way you would play a tournament, right? You have to adjust your strategies a bit because tournaments have specific rules that are specific to the tournament. Like, for example, the rising blinds. The blinds get bigger as the game progresses and more of your money evaporates if you're not betting, right? And they basically push you out of the game. So it forces you to do things like go all in with garbage cards and hope for the best. They do stuff like that. It's not the same strategy. In a table game, you normally wouldn't do that, right? So just as a comparison. All right. So anyway, any questions? How you guys doing out there so far? So I'm still trying to give this thing a chance. The 1 minute chart gave me a signal. All right. Now, am I back to break even yet? My break even price on this stupid thing is like up here. All right. And I had to sit through all of this nonsense. And what kept me in this trade was basically experience and the fact that a new signal appeared over here on the 1 minute. Like I said, all of these events would be opportunities to add. But if I had put on more and more contracts, my loss would be bigger and bigger, especially if I have to bang this thing out. If this thing just turns to garbage and I'm just going to have to be done with it, the loss will be enormous. I'll probably wipe out most of the account, right? If I had 3 contracts on, for example. So I only have one. It looks like my loss will probably be a couple of $100. Let's take a look. Right now I'm at minus 140. Okay, that's not horrible. It's better than 600. It's better than 1,000. It was fake news about the 90-day chat. Oh. See, that's why I don't listen to news. I'm saying the market reacted to it, right? The market reacted to it. But that's why I don't pay any attention. I have no idea what's going on as far as news. No idea. I just look at the price action and whatever, man. I mean, I could have got banged out. I'm hoping that I can at least get away with a little green here at this point. But this is it's a tough environment. But can you see, guys, can you see the value of focusing on the risk? If you're going to learn anything from today's stream, it's compensating in terms of risk, taking a smaller position because I recognize the risk is higher, simply by looking at the stop value, right? I mean, look at the value on this one. This is going to be even bigger, 289 points. That is not typical of the NASDAQ on these time frames. That is atypical. It is big, right? Big risk. So if risk is bigger, you compensate with smaller positions. The smallest I could go is one mini lot. That's a micro lot. That's the smallest I can go. This is not a mini lot. It's a micro lot. If I could use nano lots, which some Forex brokers give you that option, I would go with nano lots. Yes, the profits are smaller, but I'm worried more about the risk here. Okay, the loss, not the profits. I'm almost, look, my break even price is right here. This is where I originally entered on this trade back. Look, we went back to my price and it turned. They always do that to me, man. They know where I'm in from. They know. It's like, oh, let's just mess with this guy. Right at the entry price. How do they know I'm long from that price? We can't let him make money, especially on a live stream. Definitely can't let him make money. We have to make this guy look bad. I mean, he does a pretty good job himself making himself look bad, but we have to help. Okay, so my question to the market is, can we just get one more little green leg up? Because if we can, I'm out of here. As Jerry Seinfeld would say, I'm out of here. Can we get something like that? Maybe? I don't think so. Right to my entry price. Man, look at this thing. So again, what's happening here? What can we derive as far as our expectations? Well, all I can see is that this structure right here is a consolidation. It's not bearish. Don't be confused by the smaller price action. You can argue, oh, lower highs, lower highs. Yes, lower highs, but not relative to this structure. That's the structure that's in play right now. And until we break the low of that structure, that's the structure in play. So that means lower highs can develop anywhere inside of this range and screw a lot of shorts. So it's tricky. It's very tricky. My goal right now is just to get out for like break even or maybe a small profit. I am like on this 1 minute, like if I was able to get out at the 1 minute profit objective, let's see, how much money would that be? I'm long from over here. That wouldn't be much, right? This is the profit objective on the 1 minute. 144 points? That's not bad. It's not bad. It's like $300 on my one contract. I don't think we're going to get up there, or maybe we will. Let's see, where is that? That's over here. That's the profit objective. See, it's nice to have the Trade Scanner Pro defining all these things for me, isn't it? Otherwise, I'd be completely like, I don't know what to do. And I have a lot of experience. So I can only imagine like what a beginner must be going through, right? So it's nice to have a tool like this to kind of give me some expectations that are within reason. So, if you're not using the Trade Scanner Pro, there's a link up here on the screen. I suggest you try it out for 2 weeks. And by the way, I got an email from someone. I got to answer it. But the email was, how do you have to cancel it or does it cancel automatically? No, man, you have to cancel it. You have to actively cancel it. Otherwise, you're going to get billed. That's explained in the instructions, but I guess people don't really read the details. But that's how most subscriptions work. If you don't cancel it, you get billed. So it's easy to cancel, whether it's PayPal or however you sign up for it. You just go to your profile on my website, on the Market Signals Pro website, and cancel it. Or you can cancel it from your PayPal dashboard, or whatever. It's very easy to cancel. So, but really, you should give it a try. $30. Another thing, if you can't afford $30, and I understand things are rough right now, and a lot of people may not be able to take on the extra subscription. I understand. Then just don't subscribe at all, because this thing is not going to be the solution to all your problems. If you can't handle a $30 thing, and if you don't have like a decent account to trade, you're just wasting your time anyway. So, just trying to give you some helpful advice. I like this. Hussein. I like this. All right. Making me look good for once. I think I'm going to get my 1 minute profit objective. I probably spoke too soon. They're like, no, you're not. Wait a minute. What? You making money? Hold on. Turn this thing around. Pin bar. Can we get a little more of a spike? Let's see. How about something like that? I like talking like Jerry Seinfeld. My bad Jerry Seinfeld impression. We're going there. We're going there. I'm banging this thing. I will bang it out. Let's see. All right, I'm back up. I'm up back to 100. I may just take this here. I'm getting tired of this. You know, Hussein, I'm just getting tired of this. I'm getting tired of this nonsense. Why can't we just go in a straight line? Really? I thought we were going there. This sucks, man. Come on. Like, I wouldn't mind normally one red candle, but one red candle is like 50 points these days. You know what I mean? Normally, like a little red candle, like, oh, a little red candle, no problem. Yeah, 100 points in this wild nonsense market. But no, it's good. It's good to see a wild market again. It gets people going. Yeah, no, I know. I'm just trying to be entertaining. I got to entertain people. Stay strong. Yes. As our 401ks melt away, stay strong. For all you non-rich people, just stay strong as your money vanishes. All right, I'm trying here. I'm trying. See, the thing is, my trade vanished on my 30-second chart, right? And I'm using my 1 minute. That's why I'm monitoring the 1 minute, because the 30-second and the 1 minute, I mean, they're close enough. It's just there's just going to be some variation. So that's why the 1 minute gives me a nice reference, except the risk is greater on the 1 minute. Man, it'd be nice if we could just get to that profit objective, really. Mr. Market, really. It would be nice. Okay, we got a consolidation over here. So this little consolidation should be a bullish thing, right? It's a consolidation lingering near like the resistance. That's typically bullish, right? Again, what happens is it sucks in a lot of shorts, and then you get this, and they're like, "Wait a minute, it's not going lower," and then they got to get squeezed out, right? That's what happens when you become opinion. Okay, here we are, profit objective, and I am banging it out, banged it out at my profit objective. How nice! Let's look at my P&L now. Finally, I can show like a green P&L. $358. Okay. So I'm still minus 550 in the account because of Friday. But I'll take it. That was a rough trade, man. That was a rough trade. I mean, you saw what I had to go through there. And I've been streaming much longer than I want to, but that was a rough trade. I had to sit here. Remember, just a quick recap. I got away green thanks to the 1 minute chart. I took this trade. That trade was stopped out. I took this trade over here. I don't care if it keeps going now. That trade got stopped out, but I stayed in those trades. I had my one contract. I stayed in it because we were pulling into the support area. I was looking for the failed low situation, and it stuck. It held, and then my 1 minute gave me a trade, okay, which I was able to use as a point of reference, and that kept me in. Tough environment, man. Tough environment. All right, but I got away green, and I'll take it, and I'm walking away with it. So I don't care if it goes a little higher. Who cares? This thing is just too much trouble. So one trade, green, and done. Not easy though. This was not easy. And I would imagine the beginner would have banged these out, right? So that would have been a losing situation. So this is highly likely would have been a losing trade for many people. Even if you took the second trade, that got stopped out, and you had to look at the 1 minute for the third trade. So as you can see, like there's some experience. Experience helps. The Trade Scanner Pro is a tool to help you simplify decision making, but it's not going to make things perfect. The market is hard. Some markets are going to be easier than others, but man, this is hard. And I managed to get through with it with a decent profit. I'll take the 358, but we still have a long way to go on this account. Okay, I need to make $3,000, right? And on top of that, because I'm minus 500, I need to make $3,500 to reach the profit objective. And that's going to take me some time, especially at this rate. Make sense? But that's why we're doing this. It's a thing that we can track together. Every trade that I take on this account is documented in this stream, right? And that's the whole point. All right, you guys. So I'm going to wrap this up. If you have any questions, you know where to find me. At 3 p.m. Eastern time today, I will be streaming again my analysis portion. And I guess we could talk about anything that has changed from between now and then. All right, we'll talk about the bigger picture analysis for Bitcoin and all that stuff. All right, you guys. So again, thank you guys for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day or the rest of the evening, wherever you're from. Again, thank you for watching.